Sunrise on the Reaping manages to make Haymitch's reaping just as horrifying and gut-punchy as Katniss's, while doing so in a completely original way and fully setting up the primary themes of the story. There will be spoilers for chapters 1 through 3 in this video, so save it for later if you need to. Like this comment says, Suzanne Collins only writes something when she has something to say, and it seems like she has a lot to say. Yep, yes she does. And specifically, the two things that she evidently wants to talk about, which gets set up in this horrific reaping of Haymitch, are the ideas of propaganda and how it's used to alter the perception of the masses and therefore make them more malleable to an overreaching government, as well as the complicity that comes from the altering of that reality. Propaganda takes elements of the truth and presents them in a certain way that your reality, your perception of reality, is altered. And then that altered perception leads you to reinforce the systems that put that thought into your head and becoming complicit in them. Haymitch's attitude towards the capital and the idea of the reaping, I think, at the beginning of the story can generously be described as apathetic. He has resigned himself to the reality that is this event which horrifically, unfortunately, falls on his literal birthday. Damn it, Suzanne, really? And this inevitability is reinforced repeatedly throughout these opening chapters. The way that they are tied to his birthday, the way that we understand that like a birthday happens every year. As long as you're alive, this is a thing that you can expect. Likewise, we have the metaphor of the sunrise. The sun is going to come back every morning. But it's Haymitch's girlfriend Lenore who points out the fact that this is just an assumption. The idea that the reaping is inevitable, that the sunrise in the morning is inevitable, is based on past assumptions. Because it has happened, you assume it will happen again. The idea being that you are essentially a prisoner of your past almost. The idea that because things have played out a certain way, you are not going to fight them because you think that it is inevitability. And it's attitudes like this that play out in the capital's favor. Everyone assumes that there is no existence outside of this system. Well, I think you could definitely argue that this is also a critique of capitalism itself, because you cannot imagine a time, a place, a system outside of capitalism while you're in it, despite the fact that it is only a few hundred years old, just like the Hunger Games are only 50 years old at this point. But the people that are stuck in the system don't inherently fight it because they cannot perceive a world outside of it. And this, of course, leads to complicity. Your attitude of not being able to see further past the reality that's been presented to you keeps you in that reality and keeps you reinforcing it for the next generation to come. When Haymitch first gets to town and has to check in for the reaping, he notes that the peacekeeper is refusing to make eye contact with him. And he assumes either because they might actually feel some inherent shame or they might feel indifference. And that is, I think, a very key line, because in either scenario, it doesn't matter. You are complicit. Your indifference, your shame, regardless of whether you are conscious of the fact that this is a bad thing, you are continually reinforcing the system that is causing it. Partaking in the system in any sense, whether you are one of the victims within it or whether you are one of the facilitators, reinforces that system, and your feelings don't affect it because your actions are what's causing the consequences here. This complicity doesn't exist on its own, though. As I stated earlier, this is the result of your reality, your perception being altered by propaganda. And the reaping, unfortunately, shows how that propaganda can be constructed from the real elements of life that are occurring. During Haymitch's reaping, he is not picked for the Hunger Games. He is not selected at random from the bowl or whatever. He is the victim of the propaganda going wrong and them having to course correct, them being the capital, in real time. So because it's a quarter quell, we have 2 boys and 2 girls being selected from the districts. We get through all of the selections and Haymitch is not picked. However, the final boy who is picked tries to make a break for it. He tries to run and gets his head blown off. And it's that crazy action, that lack of following the script, that shows the construction of it all, show the production of it all. In the chaos that ensues, Haymitch realizes that the reaping is being filmed, but on a 5-minute delay. So they are live, but not really. There's a 5-minute delay to give them wiggle room if they need to produce something when things go wrong. And things quickly go as wrong as they can. Initially, the Capitol people aren't very worried because they're like, hey, we have the 5 minutes, let's clean this up and we will do it again. We will make another selection. But because things don't go smoothly, the mother of the boy who got his head tries to basically hold on to the body so that the peacekeepers can't take it away, and that's wasting precious time. That leads to Lenore, Haymitch's girlfriend, trying to help that mother who is, out of her mind with grief, and then that leads Haymitch to try to step in when the peacekeepers are going to attack Lenore. And because Haymitch just makes the mistake of stepping in at the wrong moment, he is chosen to replace the boy that has just been, offed. So we watch in utter horror as everything is reset from the time that the boys are being selected. So the first boy who didn't run, who was selected and is already on the stage, is sent back down to reenact what he just did, reenact his own reaping. And Haymitch's name is taken and written down quickly on a piece of paper so that they can simulate him being selected from the reaping bowl. Lenore freaks out and is about to be taken out back to be offed when Plutarch shows up, and goddamn Plutarch, fuck you, sir, fuck you so very much. Yes, Plutarch from the main series shows up, he's young, he's a producer for this event, and stops them from taking her back to get rid of her, saying, hey, I could use her for the reaction shots. Because again, they are thinking of the perception of it all. They are trying to create a reality for the people of the districts as well as the capital to take in. And you might be wondering, why? Why do we care? Why does the capital care about showing such a pristine image? Isn't just the act of violence enough to keep the districts in line? And I would say no. The capital doesn't want people to see them, not in control, which is what this situation has turned into. This reaping has shown that things can go wildly awry for the capital with just a few missteps, or I should say active decisions being made for the people of the districts, working against the capital, in this case trying to run away. And so because the capital is actively attempting to alter the perceptions or, reinforce these perceptions that they've already altered in the districts, in the capital, it is more inherently important that they reinforce the idea that this is an inevitability, that there is no escape, that there is no way that you can fight this. Every year they're going to do this and it's going to go exactly to plan because that is how powerful they are and that is how powerless you, the person in the districts, are. So the main tension of this book gets established right away. You have the creation of propaganda that's being used to reinforce behavior in the districts, and then you have the idea of complicity. Do you fight against the creation of this propaganda, or do you, act complicit because of the ways that it could help you or make your life easier? This video is already getting very long, but if you want me to talk about how Haymitch's mother and brother kind of show us the push and pull, the horror of whether you should be complicit or not when Plutarch needs some reaction shots from them, I can make that into another video. Please let me know if you want me to do that. This has been really fun. Y'all are cool. Okay, good night.